Hey everybody, my name is George Myhall. This is what I call my Office of Image Archaeology, and I am just wanted to give you a little heads up about some things that are going on and have gone on, some things that I've done, and uh, just sharing information. I do want to talk about one thing real quick here. The Office of Image Archaeology. A lot of people think that name is a little pretentious. I got to tell you, it's not. I didn't actually. I started doing this about 20 years ago, and it was only about 15 years ago I came up with that name. And the reason I did is because I wanted to share this stuff via a website, and so I called that website Office of Image Archaeology. Now, the reason that I use that name is because I'm really, that's what I am. I'm an archaeologist. When you consider what an what you're thinking about, an archaeologist, he's out in the field and he is digging for bones and or whatever, but basically bones. And that's what I do. But I do it with film, and I don't do it out in the field, out in the rough. I do it in garage sales, estate sales, antique fairs. Sunday, that's where I was at. There's an antique fair out in Alameda, and other places, Goodwill, that kind of thing. So he's digging for it out there. I'm digging for it here, and it's the same thing. It's the same kind of thing. I dig this stuff up, and I do enough research on it to kind of figure out, basically what it is, and then if I can, and then I go on to something else. I don't spend too much time on any one thing generally. Not as much time as I probably should, but I'm not a researcher. I'm an archaeologist. I enjoy a certain amount of research, of course, and that's just to go ahead and kind of roughly identify what I've got going on. Um, but I'm also turned into a bit of a film producer, a video producer, I guess, and that's what this is all about. So, just to give you kind of an idea, it was a productive weekend on Sunday at Alameda. Things that I've discovered or out there or found out there. I picked up 4 reels of 16 millimeter film that are all of them in this kind of shape right here, where they're all pieces of films, but it came from a news television station, news Channel 3 reports, I think, is what this is all from. That's where it appears. But it's probably in the 60s, 60 to 68, something like that. That's what I'm thinking. And what they are is they're all interviews. This one right here says interesting interviews. Some of it, I believe, is stock footage. Some of it it was their stock footage. They would go ahead and they would take little pieces of film to go ahead and use for different things. I saw one of them in there. It's a close up of George Washington's face on a dollar bill, and it just that's all it is. And there's another one that's that is a boat out in the water, and so that part of it is stock footage, part of it is interviews, and I don't know what the rest of it is. Another thing is the Yolo County Fair. It looks like a television advertisement for the Yolo County Fair in Woodland, California. So that's the kind of stuff that I found on there. I found a bunch of 8 millimeter film. This one right here says 1959 Christmas at Marge's. Well, that's going to be fun. But the Knott's Berry Farm is going to be kind of interesting. I like that. 1960 is what the year on. This one right here says, oh boy, Kim's birthday. Well, you don't know. Sometimes, birthdays can be kind of interesting, but there's also other things. These films right here came from Hillsdale Burlingame, Foreman's, San Mateo. I don't know. Foreman's would be the store, and I guess it's in Hillsdale, San Mateo, and Burlingame, or those three places where the stores were. This one here says Tahiti, Kim's birthday, Tahiti. I think it says Tahiti. Disneyland, Palm Springs, Las Vegas, and Hawaii. And that all should be fairly interesting. Early 60s, early mid 60s, I'm thinking. I got one that's completely unmarked. It's a mystery film. I have no idea what it is, so it'll be exciting. The other thing I found out there was I discovered Fortune magazine as my favorite magazine that was ever made. And Fortune magazine is just it's large, it's heavy, it's got fantastic, beautiful, fantastic advertising on it. Let me switch over here for just a second, and I'll go ahead and I'll show you Fortune magazine. Look at the colors. The advertising on these things are just absolutely incredible. And they've got great stories in them. Let me see here. For travel, the readers of time, the world's most active travel market. Air conditioning, that's back in 1933. This is 1933. But Fortune is it's a fantastic magazine, and I buy them whenever I can. So I got myself 3 new Fortune magazines. The most incredible find out there, however, was this guy right here, and let me put that back so we can. So that's a 16 millimeter film. And it's unfortunately it has just a bit of vinegar syndrome, and you can tell that by you see the way that hanging that loose there again. Okay, you see the way that this actually looks like it's kind of bent down here and right here and right here. We'll say it's got a film isn't bent. And if it's good film, you won't see anything like that. I'll give you an example. I haven't knocked that over yet. That's an example of good film. It's not bent. It just hangs loose. Well, it's got a little bit of a kink to it, but it's not vinegar syndrome. That's because it's stored properly. This was stored perfectly. And once you get 10 feet into it or so, that vinegar syndrome disappears, and it becomes a good, viable film. There's some scratches up front. See, little pieces of film like that is what I've got to deal with. I'm splicing back together. What's really interesting about that film is that is a film called The Adventures of Tom Mix, and it was produced in 1957. By a company called Family Films Television Productions. Look it up. You can't find Family Films Television Productions anywhere. At least I couldn't. I spent a couple hours doing it, and sort of a friend of mine looking as well. I know that they're out there. I know that they did some work, but there's not very much on the internet about them. It was William Campbell is the guy that stars as Tom Mix in there. And William Campbell's IMDb does not show this film, The Adventures of Tom Mix. It's not there. The producer of the film nor the director of the film on their IMDb's do not show this film either. So after watching the film, finally getting it together on here, where I married the sound back to the video and everything, and it's almost ready to produce. In fact, it'll probably come out tonight. It shows that. It was a pilot for a series that never made it. So this is the only one. It's the only one of these in existence. Now, Tom Mix was a favorite cowboy star for at least a couple of generations. I even in 1960s, when I was old enough to remember television, I remember seeing some Tom Mix television shows, and I loved them. I thought they were great. Been a long time, but at any rate, this is 1957. Tom Mix. The only thing going on that has to do with Tom Mix at that point is a radio show, The Adventures of Tom Mix. And what they're trying to do is they're banking on the television show or the radio show being a success, at least a moderate success. They're banking on that to sell this to some studio. Apparently it didn't work out. So at the end, what's interesting, after the end credits are done running on this film, there's a little deal between William Campbell and somebody else. I don't know who the other guy is. I barely watched it. I'm just working on getting it together. But they're talking about, they're basically doing a sales spiel on why some studios should buy this film, or buy this series. So anyway, so that's the most important find I find out there, because I love running across these one-off films, and I have a lot of that kind of stuff that nobody else in the world has. Of course, there's a lot of guys out there that have films that I don't have either, but it's I don't know, it's just I love it. It's kind of like me finding a dinosaur bone, as a real archaeologist was, of a dinosaur that nobody else has ever seen or can identify. So that's kind of like that. I'm going to switch over here again, and I'll go ahead and I'll show you. This is what I've been doing, digitizing these. I'm sorry, I'm not digitizing them. Splicing these films back together again so I can digitize them. And I think I said earlier, if I hadn't, I should. It's to me, probably the most important part of what I do here is preserve this stuff. I've got, and it shows too, because I've got 64 terabytes of this material, these films and photographs. I've got about 64 terabytes of it, and 2 RAID drives up there that it just covers about every subject you can possibly imagine is contained on those drives, and it's stuff that goes back over 100 years. She probably the most, maybe 140 years. As far back as that, even further than that, because I have stuff from the Civil War even. So yeah, it goes actually pre-Civil War. So yeah, it goes back quite a ways. So I've preserved that. The idea is to preserve it at any rate. And let's go to split in it there. So you take it the rest of the way. This splicer I'm using was in the NBC studios in Burbank, Los Angeles, I can't remember. It was in their newsroom. And every time I use it, and this is news footage here as well, so. But every time I use this thing, I think about all of the history that this machine has seen. And it's kind of a neat thing, if you consider that. I've got it set up to where I can do 16 millimeter on these, and then this right here is for 8 millimeter film. I can clean 8 millimeter, and I can splice it also on here when I'm in broken film. Listen, I just wanted to give you a heads up about what was going on here. Let me switch this back over again real quick. So tonight, I believe I'll have this done tonight, the latest tomorrow night. So kind of watch out for that if you're, getting this on time. I think this film I'm doing right now, it's video rather, should be out in about an hour here. And that film probably about 7 or 8 o'clock. Then on Friday, looking at Sacramento Time Traveler for the California State Capitol in Sacramento, and some stuff surrounding there with film and photo spanning about 100 years or so. And then next week will be about a Sacramento on the Sacramento Time Traveler again, a film about the Sacramento Northern Railroad. And so look forward to both of those things. And then also for you folks that are not from Sacramento and have no real interest in that, like I said, I've got this film coming up. Also, I had some 28 millimeter film that I've owned for years. One of them belonging to Thomas Edison, at least the company he owned at one time. I've got that. It's about Boston, Massachusetts, and it goes back to, it's about 1920, I think it is, running on Boston, Massachusetts, and Plymouth Rock and that area. Some really cool scenes from that. Then there is I have, oh geez, oh yeah, I have a couple of music videos from the 1950s that I'll be producing sometime this week or next week, and getting those on, along with some other really historically interesting stuff. I'm going to start doing slideshows, more slideshows, because I have photo albums that are just absolutely phenomenal. But it takes a little while to produce those because you can't, I just don't want to just show a picture. I want to clean the picture up. I want to show the picture, but I want to have it move. They call that a Ken Burns effect, I think. But I want to have it so that you can zoom in on certain things in the picture. Just a static picture is interesting sometimes, but it doesn't show you the detail that you really need to see to appreciate it, truly appreciate it. So, from the Office of Image Archaeology, I bid you farewell, and we'll see you the next time. And look forward, always new stuff coming up here. Sometimes I'm sorry it takes a little while to get it to you, but I'm working on it. Be assured of that. Have a good day. God bless.